what about the whole conversation of trans in sports? I mean, we spent so much time talking about that instead of Trump's tariffs. Now people are like, oh my God, let me try to figure. Like, no, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just go along with the shit. Haitians eating pets and dogs. What did that conversation bring fruitful to tariffs? We got a lot of cool, funny memes. I laughed at a few. But at the end of the day, we spend so much time talking about nonsense and things that don't have an immediate effect on everyday people. Now, the idiots in office, and now we just got to brace for what happens. That sounds pretty irresponsible of people. So when it comes to tariffs and whatever Trump has planned when he comes into office, and actually a lot of businesses are starting to kind of formulate and change their prices just in case Trump does what he needs to do. But it is just crazy how a lot of these Trump supporters, and especially if they have their own business or they're invested into a business, they're going to be losing out. And that's not just off my own knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, just in the past maybe 4 or 5 months, I've been slowly educating myself on what tariffs are, how they, can, manipulate prices just for the everyday consumer, how that messes with, businesses that have to outsource resources, and just the whole nine, even for other countries, because they're going to retaliate. Like, it's a whole entire thing. And if someone can just, sum it down to just like one sentence, like, they don't know. This is a complex type of situation that can affect countries, and I don't think the average MAGA supporter understands that. They just hear Trump say, I'm going to slap tariffs on China, and just assume like that's only going to affect China. Like, they don't understand the implications that can have here, and it will. You know what I'm saying? And just a basic definition of a tariff, just in case, hey, you don't know, this is a channel where we learn things here, not just react. We learn some things. A tariff is a tax or duty that a government places on goods or services imported into or exported out of a country. It is often used to protect domestic industries, regulate trade, and or generate revenue. So really basic understanding of what that is, and usually, like it says, governments usually decide what that looks like for incoming and outgoing products. So let's go ahead and listen to this young man, older gentleman, kind of explain in a really basic way. And I love this video because he's not doing too much. He's not saying too much. He's just explaining it to a way like regular folks like myself can understand how tariffs work. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Dean, can you explain Trump's plan on tariffs for tax cuts?
Yeah, from what I understand, he's trying to cut taxes and pay for all of it by tariffs. What Trump's plan is to expand the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, cut corporate taxes further, so expanding his tax cuts from 2017 and pay for all of it by tariffing everything.
So what do you think about the plan?
What I think about the plan? First of all, I don't think it's going to work. I have some experience in this, in importing and exporting. And I was a financial officer of a large conglomerate that all we did was import. A little bit exports, but all import. And what we imported was primarily apparel, industrial products, industrial goods, all from Asia. So I had, several years of experience understanding how the system works. And use this example. Imagine you're a company that imports t-shirts from, let's call it China, and you're importing the t-shirts for $10 a shirt, and you're selling it for a 20% profit, $12 in your stores. Say along comes a tariff of 20%. Now the way tariffs works is that manufacturer over there still exports the t-shirt for $10. It's when the company goes to the port to grab the product, to clear customs, they have to pay the 20% tariff. The company that here does. So now when they clear the goods, they pay the Chinese supplier $10 and they have to pay the $2, 20% tariffs. So what happens to the cost of the shirt? The t-shirt now costs them $12. And they used to be selling the shirt for how much? $12. Now all of a sudden, if they sell it for $12, what happens?
Yeah.
Zero profit, right? Are they a non-profit? No. So they got to make some money. So if $2 was their profit target, that profit is used, that gross margin actually, let me be more accurate, the gross margin of $2 is used to pay salaries for their employees, their overhead and everything. They have to mark up the product, right? So let's just say they want to keep their $2 gross margin. Now they're selling the t-shirt for $14. So who buys the t-shirt? The consumers do. So if you look at how a tariff works, who pays for the tariff at the end of the day? The consumers pay for the tariff. Now the company can get a lot of backlash and like, okay, fine, we cut our gross margin by $1. They still have to sell that t-shirt now for $13 instead of $14. They cut their profit by $1. But at the end of the day, what happens? Who pays for the tariff? The consumer pays for the tariff.
Exactly.
So how is this going to affect the economy?
Well, if you think about it, right? If you tariff everything, and some things that are retaliatory, like if another country tariffs us, he wants to bump it 60% tariff, other Chinese goods 60%, it's going to raise the cost of products for the consumers. What's going to happen? You can technically look at it as potentially inflationary. It's going to cost everything to be more expensive. Retaliation. So other countries are going to retaliate on our exports. They're going to put tariffs on our exports. And what does that do? Raises the price of our exports in the importing country out there. So we might lose exports to a certain.
Perfect. And just by that simple understanding right there. Now you tell me, look me in my eyes, right? Okay. I got 4 of these joints. Look me in my eyes and you tell me, do you think Trump is playing some 4D chess with these other countries in regards to tariffs? Do you think he's really understands the complications and some of the effects, the ripple effects this could have for anyone? Do you think he's really that thoughtful into plans like this? Let me remind you, he's the same guy that was on stage at the debate with Harris and said, I have concepts of a plan that I will be, revealing here shortly, which to my knowledge, he hasn't even revealed that yet. So does he know what he's doing? And do Trump supporters understand what they just bought? Because unfortunately, there's no money back. You cannot return President Trump back to the Republican Party and exchange it for something else. You can't do that. You are stuck with it. So let's go ahead, hear these two try to make all these excuses and what Trump really meant or what he's really gonna do. Like, no, don't think so. So let's go ahead and check it out.
We are back apparently to the era of federal policy announced via social media. The president-elect on Truth Social, of course, promising to penalize both neighbors to the north and to the south with a 25% tariff on all products entering the U.S. starting on day one of his second term. Trump also vowing financial vengeance on China with a 10% tariff on top of all the other tariffs already in place against Beijing. CNN economics commentator Catherine Rampell joins us in the fifth seat. And Catherine, I want to start with your initial reaction to this 25%, because it's not unexpected, right? We've been hearing that tariffs would be coming with the Trump administration.
I mean, it is not unexpected in a sense. It may be unexpected to Americans who thought Trump was going to lower their prices. Because if you voted for Trump because you thought he was going to bring grocery prices down, I have some very bad news for you. A lot of our produce comes from Mexico. 2/3 of the tomatoes that Americans purchase are from Mexico. 90% of the avocados that they purchase are from Mexico, just to mention 2 examples. So that guac is definitely going to cost extra. If you voted for Trump because you thought he was going to bring down the cost of housing, a lot of our lumber, cement, other materials comes from Canada, which means that construction costs are going to go up. Not to mention all of the ways he's going to roil the U.S. auto industry, because a lot of autos cross borders in North America multiple times before they're ultimately finished and sold to consumers. Not to mention the fact that a lot of U.S. manufacturers purchase inputs, intermediate goods like metals and cement and other things from Canada, from Mexico.
Yep.
And not to mention even the retaliation that we should expect. All of which is going to be very bad for consumers, not to mention, again, many of the U.S. workers that Trump allegedly wants to help.
What about
And not to mention, it's like, I'm joking. She said not to mention, man, if I had $1 for every time she just said that, I have about like $15. It's like, but once again, I looked this up like a couple months ago, just trying to get an understanding of like how much America imports. Like how some people were kind of phrasing like, it's not gonna be such a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be okay. And it's a long list. Like, it's too long of a list to go through a video and be like, hey, this is going to be affected by this and this and this. It is an extremely long list. And we actually get, or we actually give out, a lot of services and materials to other countries. So can you just imagine this whole entire tariff war going to shit because of Donald Trump is not prepared for that? He did that the last time during his administration, and a lot of farmers got screwed over. But once again, like, well, not me, but a lot of people forget these things. It's the reason why we didn't reelect Trump for his second term in 2020, because he screwed up a lot of things. He wasn't aware of how directly or indirectly something like tariffs can affect people. It's not just China that's going to get affected. It's a lot of things. It's a real trickle down effect. Not like that fake, tax cuts to the rich and it's going to trickle down to everybody else. No, this is a real trickle down and people are going to feel it again. So
Tequila, I would bet that's going to suffer too.
I'm out. Count me out.
But can I ask our Republicans at the table? I know there's a love-hate relationship with tariffs, with some people sort of saying, like, yes, they can be a cudgel against other countries when you want to have influence over their policy. And we should say in these Truth Social tweets, he was talking about immigration and the border and fentanyl. But that's a long economic laundry list.
The last time Catherine and I were on, you were saying that if Trump deports illegal immigrants, our groceries are going to go up because who will pick our crops? Now you're saying if he does tariffs, you're saying, well, the groceries come from Mexico and Canada.
Yeah,
so
we do produce quite a bit of groceries.
You have now officially have it both ways.
Groceries.
What is he talking about? Every time I see this guy's face on this panel, I know he is probably the most unqualified individual to sit in that spot. You can almost pick any bum off the street and would come up with some sort of better argument than this guy here. Do you know things can happen? Hey, check this out. Watch, okay? I know this might blow a lot of people's mind, right? Things can happen at the same time. It's not that we either have farms here or we get produce from other countries. It's not one or the other. So, I mean, what are you talking about? But if you really want to have like a mind type of scenario here to kind of have fun with, can you imagine if Trump did deport 15 million individuals out of the country and that affects our farms and our produce industries? And then on top of that, he tears 15, 25% to these other countries just for the hell of it. Can you imagine? I can't imagine. I don't even want to. I don't have the energy or the, just that to even deal with something like that. Can I just take one crisis at a time, not two? You know what I'm saying? So, hey, guy, I don't even know your name. Scott Jennings, shut the hell up, please.
But these things are not mutually exclusive. The groceries that
you just said all the produce is coming from Mexico. But before we were on together, you were saying no, it's all picked by illegals here in the U.S.
I said nothing of the sort.
I think we do actually have a sense of what this could affect in terms of goods. For instance, from Canada, oil is one of the things. Also, when it comes to China, technology, machinery, you've got that from Canada here. Vehicles is another one.
Look,
the reason why I wanted to start the show with this is because, like, it's shopping time. Yeah. I mean, we are literally heading into the season, and
it's shopping time.
Avocados aside, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up.
Gas prices are going to go up too.
Jim, you've said in the past that you did not like across the board tariffs. So when someone gets on and says 25%, check everyone. You feel what?
I would point out that Mexico did violate the Mexico-Canada trade agreement earlier this year when they enacted AMLO's judicial reforms. So technically, Trump could say this is in retaliation for that. What he did...
Okay, once again, technically, Trump could say that he got his information from a bunny rabbit. Like, it doesn't matter what you technically think he could or shouldn't or might do. He hasn't spoken anything about what you just said. I don't even think Trump even cares about something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because then he would put that at the forefront. But he's not. Because he doesn't know. He doesn't care. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the argument is like, you know, if we, set up the tariffs to where, a lot of people will just like buy home stuff, buy US made stuff, this and this and this. Do you understand? As a business, okay, like sometimes it is more profitable for you to outsource than to always insource. Trust me, I have done a lot of home type experiments, just trying to sell this and this. Sometimes it's easier to buy the bulk of t-shirts, from, X, corporation or company than for me to go to Walmart and buy 15, 20 shirts. That's going to cost me more than a company that is producing them a lot cheap and just as good as fabric from other countries. Like sometimes you might have to sacrifice that. Not everything. We don't have enough people. We don't have enough industry here to be self-contained. That's not how that works. But, once again, starting with the basics, if we tariff everyone, someone's going to get the short end of the stick. 1. 2, what do you think other countries are going to do? They're not going to just sit there and roll over and like, oh, Trump is being mean. Let me just bend over and take it. No, it's not how that works. No one is scared of Trump. Unfortunately, sorry to hurt your feelings. Nobody's scared of the tall, old, orange guy, okay?
Say is every time Trump rattles the saber, and he's been calling for tariffs on just about everything since the 1980s, he always gives the other country an out. He always says, this is what I want to see. I want to see fentanyl response from China. I want to see closing the borders. I want to see immigration. And we went through a lot of this in the first term. And Trump would always say, we're going to have the biggest, the most terrible tariffs you've ever seen. We're going to tariff the hell out of you. And inevitably there'd be some sort of, everyone would panic. And then there'd be some sort of sense of, okay, can we get a fig leaf? Can we get some sort of policy change that Trump can point to and say, this is a win? USMCA was not dramatically different from NAFTA, but Trump acted like he had completely reinvented it and finally gotten Americans this much better deal. I'd be surprised if we actually enact these tariffs and prices go up everywhere, that everybody in the administration is going to see, okay, how can we get out of this while looking like we've got some sort of victory? Yeah. Any move by these foreign governments is going to be seen as, okay, that's our out.
Okay, unfortunately, it's a big difference from Trump's first administration to what he's building now. There was at least some adults in the room that could be like, hey, Trump, maybe you shouldn't be doing this because, like, I've been doing this forever, so, like, this is not going to work. Or when he screwed over farmers, now they had to come up with these plans and ideas on how to unscrew themselves. The people Trump is picking now are like TV hosts and pedophiles. They don't have no plans for a plan. They don't care to plan. So why do we assume like they're gonna like somehow come to, a table together and actually start being, useful human beings? That's not how that works. That's why, I mean, hey, this is a crazy take. It might be important, okay, hear me out, to hire people or surround yourself with quality people who know the job, who has experience, who are qualified. Oh man, I know that Q word hurts a lot of people, but qualifications, that means something. But of course, let's just hire TV stars, to to run things.
Chuck, let me bring you into this because obviously there are a lot of constituencies that were very interested in the Trump administration, Trump 47 being a sort of shift to the economy in some way that would benefit them. Who benefits here?
Look, it all depends who you are. If you're in the Trump administration, you're going to say, I've been telling you this from day one. I think there's nobody here, even Democrats, even this Democrat, who would say that we don't want to secure the border. And to Scott's point, he's been talking about it for a long time. There's 476, if I did my Googling right, $billion that come in from Mexico. And if you start putting a tariff on that, it costs people more money and the prices go up, I think there will be a pushback from lots of people across the country because they voted for cheaper gas and groceries.
I'll tell you who benefits from this. It's anybody that Trump tipped off at Mar-a-Lago yesterday that he was going to do this because the exchange rate between the Mexican peso and the U.S. dollar just rapidly changed. So yeah, there are some people who are going to pocket some money from this.
I understand Trump's hatred or disdain for Mexico. I don't understand.
Let's not forget the Canadians.
Well, that's what I was about
saying. What did I do?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
No, the question is, what did they not do?
It's like Trump. Everybody is Trump's enemy at some point, and so Canada. You know why are they out of China, Mexico, and Canada? Those are the three countries. But also,
I just Canada for fentanyl coming in.
But I think the thing that'll be interesting is, look, we had an election. I'm gonna say it over and over. Elections have consequences. It is going to be shopping season, but Donald Trump won't be the president when this first holiday season comes. But if he enacts tariffs by the time the next holiday season comes, which will be 2025, going into a midterm year of 2026, that administration will have questions to answer to the American people that he sold a bill of goods and now the bills are a lot higher.
I want to add one thing. You said it's not this season, but you already have many American companies speaking to the media, right, saying,
going
whether
overseas.
it be Walmart, whether it be whoever. I know in our podcast we're talking to people in the fashion industry about like the materials they're buying ahead of time. So it will make a big difference, even if it means people rushing in this moment. I want to move to this issue of immigration, since you guys kind of have all touched
and that's where we check out. So once again, I just feel like people like Trump and his administration take advantage of people who are clueless, people who are left in the dark. Those kind of people will be taken advantage of, and that's literally what's happening. Like, a part of me doesn't want to see bad things happen to people, but a good portion of me wouldn't mind that at all. To be honest, hey, can I just be honest with you guys? Can we just have an honest conversation here? Like, you get what you pay for. And if you are a sucker enough to fall for a con man who literally has no idea what he's doing, you have to reap the consequences of that, not him. We. If you voted for Trump, you put me in that same boat. Now I have to deal with that. But fortunately, I've, set up my life to where outside things like that don't really affect me as much as possible. So, but for the people who have businesses who rely on exports and imports and everything that's in between, those are the people who are going to be affected. And what about the whole conversation of trans in sports? I mean, we spent so much time talking about that instead of Trump's tariffs. Now people are like, oh my God, let me try to figure. Like, no, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just go along with the shit. Haitians eating pets and dogs. What did that conversation bring fruitful to tariffs? We got a lot of cool, funny memes. I laughed at a few. But at the end of the day, we spend so much time talking about nonsense and things that don't have an immediate effect on everyday people. Now, the idiots in office, and now we just got to brace for what happens. That sounds pretty irresponsible of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something like middle schoolers would like do if you had to like put them into like a game of, someone's president and, there's like people that like, this is what they do. They just elect their best friend to be in office who has no idea how to do anything except for have fun, but this is grown people who put that grown ass idiot in office. And now a lot of people are going to be reaping those consequences. So I mean, you better, hope for the best, but of course, prepare for the worst. But once again, if you guys agree or disagree with anything that I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below. Hit that Discord link so me and you, can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.